Lewis measures him. Right to the body, a left up to the jaw, and Schmeling is down.
And Robinson hits him with a powerful right hand, and left hook, a right cross, and Nevada holds on and is going to stop it. Ray Robinson is the new champion of the world. Marciano pulling his way in close. Walcott is back to the rope. Takes it right to the jaw. Walcott is staggering, and helpless on the rope, but right to the jaw. Walcott is down on his stomach, and they're standing over him.
Pearson is throwing a left to the head, gets Clay against the rope, now left and right to Clay's body, and it's lifted all the way now, left and right to Clay's body. Clay tries to fend him off and still blinks like he can't see.
Today on The Greatest Fights Ever, we relive boxing's legendary battles. It's Jack Dempsey, Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano, Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard, and Muhammad Ali. All in their prime as we bring you the greatest rounds of all time.
NBC Saturday Sports Showcase presents The Greatest Fights Ever. And now from Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, here's Marv Albert and the Fight Doctor, Ferdy Pacheco.
We welcome you to the third edition in our series of The Greatest Fights Ever. And today we examine 14 of the all-time greatest rounds in the history of boxing. And Ferdy, it should be pointed out that our judgments here are purely subjective.
They are, and in picking these rounds, we'd established that we'd pick a round that changed maybe the course of the history of boxing, such as the long count, or of historical importance, Joe Louis, Max Schmeling, or a round that was so significant because the fighter was hopelessly beaten, yet somehow turned the fight around and won the title.
And to help us take a close-up look at these 15 greatest rounds, we are joined by an esteemed panel. Of course, panels, as you know, are always esteemed. And we have with us the legendary Old Mongoose, the one-time light heavyweight champion, Archie Moore. A voice synonymous with boxing, he's called so many of the boxing classics down through the years, Don Dunphy. One of boxing's premier trainers, among those he has handled Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard, Angelo Dundee. And a man who has experienced a lifetime of boxing as a top-ranked middleweight, one of the sport's superb trainers currently handling Evander Holyfield and Meldrick Taylor, George Benton. Gentlemen, we'll be hearing from you throughout the show, but let's get started with the first of our greatest rounds. The reigning heavyweight champion, 6'7" Jess Willard, defending his crown against the underdog contender, Jack Dempsey. It was a hot Independence Day at the Toledo Arena in Toledo, Ohio, 110 degrees. And Ferdy looked at the difference in size. Jess Willard at 6'7", Jack Dempsey around 6 feet. Dempsey giving away nearly 6 inches and 50 pounds and 7 inches in reach. Willard, 37 years old. And here's the other discrepancy. Dempsey at 24 years of age.
And there was yet another difference. As the bell sounded to begin that first round, Dempsey's manager, Jack Doc Kearns, leaned in, grabbed his fighter and said, listen, I bet our entire purse that you can knock this guy out in the first round. Dempsey looked at him and had to go out, and he has a great deal of urgency in this fight. All the money he's going to make is riding on this first round.
And as we watch Dempsey and Willard, you can see a distinct difference in boxing style and strategy from some 70 years ago.
Well, you can almost see a transition here. The champion, Jess Willard, the old stand-up straight Marcus de Queenberry style that was the way they fought in those days. Dempsey is a transition period. He is an animal. He's a panther. He's well tanned, he's strong, and he's crouching, bobbing and weaving. He's doing all the things we do today. He had to get in there under the reach of this tall guy, and remember, he's got to destroy him.
And there's the first knockdown of the round as Jess Willard is put down by Jack Dempsey.
First thing to notice here is Willard is just barely up when Dempsey has attacked him. In those days, you could do that. You could just hang around. Now watch Dempsey. He doesn't move away. Even the referee's not pushing him.
No rules at the time concerning the boxer going to the neutral corner. And another onslaught by Dempsey. That's the third time that Willard has gone down in the round, and obviously there is no 3 knockdown rule in effect.
In those days, if you could get up, no matter what, now watch. Willard has his back turned, and even with his back turned, Dempsey knocks him down for the 4th time.
And Jack Dempsey's entire purse of $27,500 riding on stopping Willard in the first round.
And he's certainly trying as hard as he can. All this time, major physical damage is being inflicted on Willard. Willard continues to get up, and Dempsey is getting arm weary. And he's got a great sense of urgency. He knows he's got seconds to go in order to get Willard out of there and win his bet.
Willard in trouble again on the ropes right here, and Willard is put down for the 6th time in the round. Now, he's apparently counted out, but saved by the bell. Unbelievably, he gets up again, and he is smothered again by Dempsey. Now, Jess Willard did survive the first round, but could not answer the bell for round 4. So Dempsey won the title, but lost the bet.
Don, your reaction to Dempsey hovering right over him and hitting him as soon as he got up?
Well, the rules were different in those days, Ferdy. You didn't have to go to a neutral corner. And Willard was down, and Dempsey took advantage of that. But this was to cost Dempsey later on in the Tunney fight. He stood over Tunney when the referee said, go to the neutral corner. It cost him 6 or 8 seconds. What I'm fascinated about this fight is that Willard, the champion, his clubs are down at his hips. I don't know how you can fight that way. No wonder he got hit so well.
By the same token, Dempsey had his gloves down by his hips, too. And he didn't show too much, so far as defense was concerned, because he was an aggressive man. And that was exactly when in those days, they needed the commissioners and all these rule-making people who make rules for the protection of the safety of the fighter, because the man could have got killed.
Georgie, could a guy like Dempsey cause that much damage to Jess Willard? He broke his jawbone, he broke his jaw, he knocked out teeth, and he broke his ribs in that first round, according to historians. Could a guy do that much damage with his fist unless he had something in his glove?
Well, I can imagine he could, because Dempsey was a terrific puncher, and he was a heavyweight, you know. And with those small gloves on, you got, protection. And when you were swinging the way those guys were swinging, they were swinging from down home. You know, when he was throwing punches with everything he had. And, he was strong men at that time. Those men were stronger than men are today. The men of that time, 180 pounds, 185 pounds, were stronger.
Now, Angelo, would you have thought that tall 6'7" Willard could have fought any more after that kind of beating in the first round?
No, I thought the shellacking he took in that first round would have been enough. In fact, if I'd have been there, I probably would have stopped the fight.
Okay, when we come back, we go to the Roaring 20s. It'll be Dempsey again, this time against Gene Tunney. It was September of 1927, Soldier Field in Chicago, as Tunney and Dempsey met for the second time. Tunney, incidentally, the recipient of boxing's first ever $1 million purse.
And at this time, Tunney was ahead on points due to his superior boxing ability. It was, in effect, a replay of their first fight, and Dempsey sensed that he needed a knockout if he were to regain his title.
Now Dempsey stalking, as he always did, and then exploded and puts Tunney down. Dempsey, however, stood over Tunney, waiting for Tunney to get up in order to get right back on him. However, Dempsey, fighting strictly from instinct, failed to remember that a new rule was in effect. The fighter scoring the knockdown must move to a neutral corner before the count starts. So Tunney was given the famous long count. He did recover his senses in that extra time given him, and then was able to hang on in the 7th round.
And the way he hung on was with his superior boxing skills. Look at this, hands down, fast feet, great lateral movement, just moving around the ring. Dempsey, his hands cocked, he wants to explode, but he can't. He can't get close enough before Gene Tunney circles back out of range.
Now, Ferdy, although this was a title fight, it was scheduled for only 10 rounds rather than the usual 15, which certainly helped Tunney in surviving.
It helped him in surviving, but can you notice a similarity in his style and someone else's? Well, it's Muhammad Ali. That's Muhammad Ali's style. Hands down, fast feet, great lateral movement, tying up Dempsey as soon as he comes in. Dempsey trying all he can to set him up for one punch, but before he can set him up, there he is on a bicycle. Tunney is away, and the distance builds between them.
And as it became apparent that Tunney would hang on, the long count of referee Dave Barry now becomes a major issue.
Well, you can imagine the indignation of the sports fans throughout the country at this long count, but notwithstanding the public outrage, when the 10th round was over, Gene Tunney was still the heavyweight champion of the world.
Well, apparently Jack Dempsey had forgotten that a new rule was in effect, that the fighter who knocks the opponent down must go into the neutral corner, and that certainly cost him.
Yes, it did cost him. It cost him plenty, because he thought that the same rules applied when he was fighting the other heavyweight, Willard. And so, but Tunney was a fox. And Tunney got up and he ran and he moved around and he pulled Dempsey out of position so many times until Dempsey was beginning to tire. See? And then later on, Tunney took over.
How long did he stay down by your count?
What I read in the paper was about 15 seconds. But along that line, what is interesting to me is that when Tunney fought Dempsey and won the title from him in 1926, it was a 10-round bout. This also in Chicago was a 10-round bout. Now the champion could decide how many rounds the bout should be. And it was Dempsey who picked the 10-round route, which is very, very unusual for a championship fight. However, you must remember that Dempsey had not fought since he fought Firpo in 1923. 3 years had elapsed, and I think he thought he couldn't go more than 10 rounds.
How could you have caught him? How would you have told Dempsey to catch? I mean, it didn't seem like he just walked after him.
Well, first of all, I would have choked the referee. That was a 40 count. Forget about it. That guy got knocked out. I don't care if it went back to the corner, up to the corner, sideways. The man got counted out. You know, and I was cracking up because the guy was a oneer and a twoer and a threer. My God, the guy, you know, must have had arthritic elbow.
Okay, one-word answer. Let's go around the panel. Who was the better fighter, Dempsey or Tunney? Archie?
Jack Dempsey.
Dempsey.
Jack Dempsey.
Dempsey.
Well, a unanimous decision for Jack Dempsey. Coming up next, a fight of international significance, Lewis and Schmeling. Lewis had suffered his only defeat at the hands of the former champion, Max Schmeling. Now Lewis was the champion of the world, but with national pride at stake, he harbored a fierce desire to avenge the only loss on his record.
In the center of the ring, Max swing around him. Joe Lewis led quick with two straight lefts to the chin. Both of them light, but as the men clinch, Joe Lewis tries to get over two hard lefts, and Max ties him up in the breakaway clean. On the far side of the ring now, Max with his back to the rope, and Lewis hooks a left to Max's head quickly, and shoots over a hard right to Max's head. Lewis, a left to Max's jaw, a right to his head. Max shoots a hard right to Lewis. Lewis with the old 1-2. The first the left and then the right. He's landed more blows in this one round than he landed in any 5 rounds of the other fight. And there, Max Schmeling caught him with his guard down and tossed that right hand to Lewis's jaw. But Lewis was going away with the punch at the time. Now Max is backing away against the ropes. Lewis is following him and watching for that chance. He is crowding Schmeling. Schmeling is not sitting around very much, but his face is already marked. And they stepped into a fast clinch. And at close range, Lewis fights desperately to bring up a left to the jaw and a right to the body. And coming out of that clinch, he got over a hard right and then stabbed Max with a good straight left jab, and Max backed away and missed the right. Lewis then cracked him with two straight lefts to the face and brought over that hard right to the head, high on the temple, and Max tied him up in a clinch and broke ground. Is back against the ropes again there, not too close to the ropes. Lewis out, and Lewis missed with a left swing, but in close, brought up a hard right overcut and a right to the jaw, and again a right to the body, a left hook, a right to the head, a left to the head, a right. Schmeling is going down. But he held to his feet, held to the rope, looked to his corner in helplessness, and Schmeling is down. Schmeling is down. The count is 4. And he's up, and Lewis, right and left to the head, a left to the jaw, a right to the head, and Donovan is watching carefully. Lewis measures him, right to the body, a left hook to the jaw, and Schmeling is down. The count is 5, 6, 7, 8. The men are in the ring. The fight is over on a technical knockout. Max Schmeling is beaten in 1 round.
Now, in this fight, in boxing years ago, before this, the referee could watch somebody throw a towel in. You could throw in a towel into the fights in those days. The rule was changed, fortunately. If you notice that picture, Arthur Donovan, the referee in this fight, at one point walks by and throws something out of the ring. The German's corner had thrown in the towel, and the referee would not allow it.
Joe Louis had that in his craw about Schmeling beating him the first time. Man, he wanted it bad. And vendetta, call it what you will. He wanted a hunk of Schmeling.
Can that sometimes hurt a fighter, though? In this case, he was able to channel it in the right direction.
I don't think so. The word we use in boxing is don't get mad at anybody. But vendetta, to erase that loss, he felt he shouldn't have got himself hit in the chin that much that night. As you saw in the second fight, he didn't get nailed with that shot no more.
All right, let's move on now to the 40s. Again, Joe Louis. This time, Louis and Billy Conn.
It was back in June of 1941 that Joe Louis and Billy Conn met for the first of 2 bouts. They fought at the Polo Grounds in New York for the heavyweight title.
And there wasn't a person in boxing that gave the puffed-up light heavyweight Billy Conn a chance against the seemingly invincible Brown Bomber, Joe Louis.
It is round 13. Surprisingly, Billy Conn is ahead on all 3 scorecards. The call of Don Dunphy.
Ready to snap a knockdown. A left jab to the jaw by Louis. Shakes up Billy just a little bit. Conn is out in the center. As Louis jabs his left, Conn blocks the blow with his own right hand. Louis paws away with his left, trying to get Conn into a corner if he can. Conn stands around in the center of the ring, just continually circling the champion. Louis sticks out a left hand, which is blocked by Billy Conn. Conn comes in close, crosses the right to the body of the champion. Louis doesn't seem to mind that blow. It didn't have much force behind it. Louis and Conn out in the center of the ring. Not too much action in this round. Now they go to close quarters, and Conn, after hooking a left to the body, brings up a left to the jaw of Joe Louis. Louis jabs away with his left. It's short of the mark, and now he jabs the left and crosses the right to Conn's chin. Louis jabs another left to Conn's chin. Conn goes back out of danger. Louis jabs the left and hooks the right and staggers Billy Conn with a right uppercut, and Conn wisely holds on and ties up Louis. Louis hurts Conn again with a left and a right to the jaw, but Conn fights back with a right and a left to the body. Another right and a left to the body. A left hook to the jaw by Conn. A right to the jaw. 2 more rights as he outswings the champion. Conn was hurt, but he fought his way out of it. A left hook to the body by Billy Conn, another left hook to the body, and a left to the jaw. And the challenger's blows to the midsection are seemingly slowing up Joe Louis. Billy's eye, the right eye is cut again, and there's Louis driving Conn back with a right to the jaw. Louis jabbing the left to Conn's jaw, and Conn going to close quarters and tying up his opponent. Right in the center of the ring now. This is a fight. Conn jabs the left and is staggered by a right cross thrown by Joe Louis. Conn is hurt, but he bounds off the rope as Louis comes back with a right and a left to the body, and Conn hooks the left to the jaw. A left hook to the jaw, a right uppercut scored by Joe Louis, and still another one. Conn every so often is staggered, but he comes fighting back. He's got remarkable recuperative powers. A right cross to the jaw by Louis, and Conn hooks his own left to the jaw. Conn is covering up now, trying to get that left hand free. Louis takes Conn's head back with a right uppercut, a stinging blow, and Conn goes to close quarters. And now Louis back to the attack with another right uppercut as Conn hooks a left to the jaw. A left jab to the jaw and a right cross scored by Joe Louis, and Conn is hurt as Louis rips the right to the jaw. Conn is staggering, but he won't go down. There's Louis jabbing a left and uppercutting his right to Conn's head. Conn blocks the left hook. He's reeling around the ring. Louis hooks the left and the right to the jaw, and Conn is down from a right cross to the jaw. He's taking the count. 4, 5, 6, 7. He's on his back. 8, 9. He's getting up at the... Oh, no! The referee says it's all over. The referee says it's all over. The bout is stopped. The winner and still champion, Joe Louis.
Well, Billy Conn got greedy. He went for the knockout. Went up against the old axiom, never punch with a puncher.
It could have been that he was, might have been tired, or he had sensed a change in the fight, and that he had to fight his way out of it, you know. And I think that could have been probably why he opened up as much as he did at that particular time. Although he knew he was tired, and he thought that he would outgut Lewis and then take over. But Lewis's punching power was just too much for him or anybody else.
But the fact was that he was ahead, and he knew he was ahead.
Yes.
Billy knew he was ahead, and his corner was telling him, just make it to the 15th and we win this fight. Now, I've heard you say many a time, Angelo, don't coast, fight your way through. Would you have let him fight all the way through to the 15th?
What I would have actually done is to go with Gotcha there, box.
I have an interesting point, though. The count was at 2:58 of the 13th round. History would have been rewritten, or possibly could have been rewritten, if that knockdown had come 4 seconds later. Conn would have been saved by the bell, and I'm sure he would have changed his tactics in the 14th round.
When Billy had that rally where it looked like Conn had Lewis going again, but Lewis came back, did you think that if he had danced, if he had held on after that rally, he could survive that round, he could have won this fight?
I don't know. From watching the fight, I don't think he'd won it anyway at that point, because I think Conn was a little tired, you know, and he wasn't able to hurt Lewis bad because Conn was a little guy. He wasn't a big heavyweight. He was just a small heavyweight. And he was hitting Lewis with a lot of punches early when he was fresh, and he wasn't taking anything. He wasn't doing anything to Lewis, and he was tired now. So I imagine in the next round, if he had gotten up, you know, if the bell had saved him, I think he'd have got knocked out anyway.
All right, when we come back, a look at the fabulous 50s, a period that brought forth a host of epic fights.
1951 at Chicago Stadium. Middleweight champion Jake LaMotta and Sugar Ray Robinson did their best to reenact the St. Valentine's Day Massacre as they met for the 6th time.
This series set a record for brutal confrontations, with Robinson winning 4 times and LaMotta once. By round 13, Jake LaMotta had absorbed a savage beating, but he would not go down, would not give Sugar Ray the satisfaction of knocking him off his feet.
And referee Frank Secora breaks it. There's a very bad swollen spot now under the left eye of Jake LaMotta. Robinson with a long overhand right, and he nails LaMotta coming in. And then Jake grabs him, and his knees sag. But he's game to the core. Is the Bronx Bull, the middleweight champion of the world, at least until this one is over. Here are 2, 3, 4, 5 left hands on the nose. LaMotta cannot get his hands up. Robinson with his left hand in for the head and the right hand in for the midsection. And Jake LaMotta runs into a left hook as thrown by Sugar Ray. LaMotta plodding in. Runs into a left hand thrown on the forehead. Robinson with a right hand thrown down to the midsection. Only 1 minute is gone here in round 13. Robinson looking for an opening. Comes in and scores with a terrific right uppercut and 2 left hooks to the chin. Misses a right uppercut. Then LaMotta just lurches back against the ropes and stands there. And Robbie goes to him and smashes him in the nose with his left and his right. His right hand right down on the cheekbone. And Jake appears powerless to defend himself, and the swollen spot on his left cheek has opened up and is spilling crimson down his face. Robinson with a straight overhand right with 1.5 minutes left to go in round 13. LaMotta trying to hold on. Some of the crowd yelling, stop it, but you don't do that to a champion. He has to go out fighting. LaMotta misses the left hook thrown for the head of Sugar Ray. Ray with 2 left hands on that swollen left eye of Jake's. Another left hand. Then Jake is able to move away from a right hand, and then he falls back to the ropes, but does not go down as Robinson tags him with a straight right hand on the forehead. And LaMotta seems loath to come away from the rope, but he does come out, and Robinson hits him with a powerful right hand, a left uppercut, a right cross, and LaMotta holds on, and they're going to stop it. Ray Robinson is the new champion of the world.
What happens when you reach 3rd, 4th, 5th time? It's so unusual to see two boxers go that often.
Well, you get to the point where you know each other so well, till it can't be nothing but a tough fight. Sometimes it can be a boring fight. Sometimes fights like that get to the point where they're lousy fights because the guys know each other. But in Robinson's and LaMotta's case, it couldn't be a lousy fight because the styles complemented each other. LaMotta was going to be coming and throwing punches, and Ray couldn't do nothing but fight back. So but if you had two guys that were real slick, then it would have been a very lousy fight, you know, two guys to get to know each other, you know. Then you see a lousy fight, but this one, they complemented each other because of their opposite styles.
All right, gentlemen, Sugar Ray Robinson figured in another of our greatest rounds. This time it is a rematch with Randy Turpin.
September the 12th, 1951, at the Polo Grounds in New York with 61,000 in attendance as Sugar Ray Robinson tries to win back the middleweight title he lost 3 months before in England. Sugar Ray, on a pleasure tour of the continent, took what he thought was going to be an easy fight against an unknown British middleweight named Randy Turpin, and he left the title in the continent. Now, 3 months later, well-trained, well-motivated, Sugar Ray Robinson must keep his reputation intact and take back his title.
And this was not a walkover. The rematch turned out to be a tough one for Sugar Ray Robinson. In fact, the fight was even until Turpin inflicted a serious cut on Sugar Ray. By round 9, it appeared the referee, Ruby Goldstein, was looking to stop the fight. Goldstein gave Robinson one more round. He said this would be it, and this is round 10.
And if there was ever an advantage or ever a fuel to put in somebody's tank, is when you tell a fighter you got one more round to go. So Sugar Ray had the advantage of knowing it was do or die this round, and if it's one thing that Sugar Ray Robinson was known for, it was a finisher. He could get you in trouble and he could take you out.
And Turpin is sent down by Robinson. Randy Turpin, a very awkward fighter, which made things even more difficult for Sugar Ray Robinson.
And that was the principal difficulty that Sugar Ray Robinson had with Turpin. He just couldn't land flush. If you could box with Robinson, he'd kill you. But this guy was so awkward, he couldn't land flush. Now, what he's trying to do is to finish in such a fashion that Ruby Goldstein will step in here and stop this before it goes much further.
And this is a striking example of the cold fury that Sugar Ray Robinson could unleash. Remember, when this round began, it appeared that he was in trouble. And now the referee, Ruby Goldstein, is checking it over, about to step in. And that's it, 2:52, round 10. Sugar Ray Robinson keeps intact his reputation as pound for pound the greatest in boxing history.
Don, this is when he had to get his title back. He had to get his reputation back.
He could have lost this fight.
And he stumbled.
He was badly cut in the previous round, and the officials wanted to stop the fight, which would have kept Turpin having the title. But Robinson pleaded with them, let me go one more round, and they did.
That was one of those do-or-die rounds, Angelo.
Right.
But I learned a lot from that fight. That Robinson, a finely tooled, slick artist, smart, knew every punch in the book. Awkwardness messed him around, because Turpin was awkward. He would block punches. You know, whoever blocks punches like that with his shoulders. So that was the problem he had with Turpin, the awkwardness. So key things is what make fights. But man, Robinson, when he had a guy hurt, adios. He really took him out.
But Archie, even when he had him hurt there, those last swinging shots, the awkwardness that Angelo just referred to him, saved him a long time, because those punches weren't landing those big bombs.
No, he was missing those punches clean, you see, because he was trying to knock him out with each punch he threw. Each punch he tossed, he tried to knock him out with each one.
Okay, we're going to take a break right here, and when we return, we'll continue to focus on the 50s, featuring the popular Rocky Marciano.
The greatest fights ever continues from Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. Here again is Marv Albert.
Welcome back to our Greatest Fights Ever series. I'm Marv Albert, along with the fight doctor, Ferdy Pacheco, and we have reached the 50s, certainly the glory years in the world of boxing, and we're chatting now about Rocky Marciano, certainly one of the most popular champions of all time.
Well, he's popular for a strange reason. You know, he came from the classiness of Sugar Ray Robinson, the boxing ability of Joe Louis. And here comes this little guy, looks like a fire plug, from Brockton, Massachusetts. All the smart sports writers say, guy's a Neanderthal type. He can't fight. He can't do anything. He keeps knocking everybody out. And what he ended up being was a blue-collar champion. The little people loved him.
And he vied for the world heavyweight title against Jersey Joe Walcott, the year 1952.
Marciano came in undefeated, but a decisive underdog against the experience of the champion Walcott. As round 13 opened, Walcott was clearly ahead, setting up this stunning finish.
Marciano was short with the left jab aimed at the head. Marciano digs the left hand to the pit of the stomach of Walcott. Walcott backing away now. Here's Marciano moving in on him again. Walcott feinting the left hand, going into a shuffle. Marciano pulling his way in close. Walcott aids his legs. Keeps taking him back out of trouble whenever he gets into it. Marciano pulling his way in close. Walcott is back to the ropes. Takes it right to the jaw. Walcott is staggering and helpless on the ropes with right to the jaw. Walcott is down on his stomach, and they're counting over him. It may be a knockout. I don't think Walcott can get up. It's going to be a knockout for Marciano. Rocky Marciano by a knockout. A straight right hand punch to the jaw, and Walcott rolls over. He is still out cold. It is a knockout, and we have a new heavyweight champion of the world.
Well, that was a resounding knockdown. Did you notice that both threw a right hand at the exact same time? Marciano's landed a fraction of a second before Walcott's?
Well, it wasn't the exact same time. It landed a fraction.
Hey, good point, Archie.
Good point, Archie. Touche. But this fight was one which saw Jersey Joe Walcott way ahead. As a matter of fact, early in the fight.
In the first round, he knocked Marciano down, and in the 11th and 12th rounds, he gave Rocky such a beating, I didn't think Rocky could continue. And yet you saw Rocky come out for that 13th round full of pep. Rocky was truly great.
When you talk about a slick fighter against an awkward fighter, I look at these two guys, they both looked awkward. I mean, Jersey Joe, you never knew what he was going to do. He turned his back on you, walked around, he threw left hooks from nowhere.
But it looked good. He was cute with it. It didn't look awkward. It was cute.
I guarantee everybody stole a lot of stuff from Archie and from Walcott. Walcott was a very slick, smart guy.
Archie, Ferdy mentioned that Marciano at first was not well regarded. People really didn't think much of Rocky. When you first saw him, did you have respect for him? Did you think that this guy was going to be a good fighter?
Marciano, like I have respect for all fighters, because you never can tell when a fighter might burst into bloom. I saw Rocky in some of the stages that he was quite awkward, and I saw him fight some awkward fights, but I knew that he had something that you can't buy. You must have it given to you from nature or God. Punching power, natural punching power. You can't buy it.
Rocky Marciano figured in yet another classic confrontation, a second meeting 2 years later, 1954, against Ezzard Charles. Let's take a look.
And now Charles lands with a hard right uppercut, and Marciano goes right to work and snaps his head back with a right uppercut of his nose. That nose must be very painful. It's a deep, scratch-like wound running right down to the tip of the nose, and once again it starts to bleed. Charles trying to move inside after the very brief flurry here at the start of round 8. There is a laceration over the left eye of the heavyweight champion of the world, Rocky Marciano, and Ezzard Charles moving back flat-footed. Moves in now with a right hand under the heart of the champion. Rocky moving into the attack, tries to bring his left hand up for the head of Charles and misses. Marciano is tied up again by Ezzard Charles. Their heads are coming together so frequently that undoubtedly it's damaging both boys. They get their heads right down together as they try to slug it out in the infighting. Charles scores with the left and the right to the midsection. Rocky Marciano now is tagged with a right hand over that left eye, which is starting to open up. Then Charles is tagged with a right hand coming in. 2 minutes left to go in round 8. Marciano with the left hand very high, tries to move in. Charles backpedaling, and Charles goes into the infighting and landing just one light left hand to the midsection and pushes Rocky Marciano away. As Marciano's face now resembles that of a gargoyle as Charles lands hard to the midsection and then tries to tie up the champion and then snaps up a right uppercut, working steadily to the head of Rocky Marciano. There's a stain on the left cheek of Ezzard Charles. I don't know if it's a cut or not. We'll have to see. It might be some of the blood from the champion of the world, Rocky Marciano. That was no cut on Ezzard Charles. Here's Marciano with a left hook to the body. A right cross to the head. He misses the long left uppercut. Charles with the left hand to the forehead. Marciano with a right hand to the body. And a solid left hook right on the nose of Ezzard Charles by Rocky Marciano.
Charles back frontal, takes in a deep breath, gets his hands up high. Marciano throws the right hand. For the left jaw, we saw over Charles' eyes flick. Then Marciano passed the midsection, but there was back to the elbow. He misses for the head of the right hand. Charles standing the bit from the right hand, and Charles is on with the right hand. Let's get the count. 5. He's up anyway. Four does not get a count. And here's Marciano like a tiger swinging across the ring, landing to the midsection, getting his right hand free, chopping away at the head, another solid right hand, and a left to Marciano, and a right hand on the back of the neck. Charles is down. Alvaro trying to pick up the count, ladies and gentlemen. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, with 30 seconds left, and they stopped it, as the Charles could not get up.
All right, in round 8, Rocky Marciano's nose was actually split open. The referee said to Marciano, I'm letting it go one more round for 2 reasons. Number 1, because it's for the heavyweight championship. Number 2, because, Rock, it's you.
Reaction was the referee did Rocky Marciano a hell of a favor because he let him know, man, this is your last round. You got to go out and do it. So he did a real good second job in there. Because I would have said the same thing.
On that last series of punches when Rocky had Ezra Charles on the way out, one punch was right to the back of the head as hard as he could go. Is that an illegal punch?
We were just speaking about that because these punches are not really legal. I mean, maybe George can tell you about that too.
No.
Behind the back of the neck and those kind of punches, they are not allowed.
It's truly illegal. You shouldn't hit a guy behind the head, and the referee should always penalize a man for hitting the guy behind the head.
Suppose a man throws a hook that is a legal punch.
A legal punch?
Yes, and the other guy turns his head as before the punch arrived. Will you call that a legal punch?
We just spoke on this. You know, sometimes a man can cause a punch to look illegal. The guy that's on the receiving end of the punch can put himself in a position to make the punch illegal.
It's not illegal if you can get away with it.
On to 1958, and it's a Canadian boxer and a part-time fisherman by the name of Yvon Durell going up against one of our esteemed panelists, the old mongoose, Archie Moore, in a bout that may have led to the emergence of the motion picture Rocky.
The Montreal Forum, December 1958. A confident, overwhelming favorite, Archie Moore, defending his light heavyweight crown against an unheralded contender, Yvon Durell, who catches Archie Moore napping and leaves a rude wake-up call.
And it's the first of many knockdowns for a shell-shocked Archie Moore. By the 11th round, both men have visited the canvas a number of times, and the conclusion is fast approaching.
Seconds were late getting out of the ring. Now Durell seems to be on his way as Moore bangs into the canvas again. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Up at the count of 9. Blood streaming from his nose. A cut over his right eye. Moore back after him once again. And down he goes again with a clubbing right hand. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Struggling at 9, 10. He is out.
Now, Archie, that looked easy. You just went out there and took that guy apart. But what happened in the first round of this fight?
Well, I was knocked down several times.
You knocked down right off the bat? You went down? You had to get up fighting?
Well, I had to get up fighting, yes.
All told, how many times were you down in this fight?
Well, we were both down 4 times each.
Did George, you and I were talking, seemed like he was down a lot longer than that. I mean, I remember that fight looked like everybody was going down.
Because there was so many knockdowns in the fight. And I used to tell, like, talking about that fight, I said, you know, Archie Moore was down about 6, 7, 8 times, man. He got up off that floor and did this and did that. But in my memory, in my mind, I thought it was more than 4 times.
It was only 4 times, but 4 times apiece.
Yeah. That's what made me, I forgot about the other guy going down. I just could see you going down.
Archie, did you ever reach a point where you felt you were in big trouble? This this could end? I'm really
No, I was amazed. I was amazed. I said, this guy can really hit. And so then the next time I got knocked down, I said, I was convinced. I said, this guy can really hit.
I don't need no more convincing, huh?
That's right. But then later on, he knocked me down again, but this time was in the 5th round.
Did you realize right after the fight that you had pulled off this magnificent feat? Did it hit you right away?
Well, yes, I had thought about that as the fight went on, and I was using my left hand, which was quite educated at the time, and as it was working its destruction on Ivan, I said, well, this is the kind of a fight that every fighter would love to be in. And so every fighter who fights loves to be in a knockdown, drag out, and emerge as the winner.
So it was a true Rocky scenario for Archie Moore.
It was a great scenario. I love that. I love that.
And it is now on to the 60s, an era highlighted by the emergence of one Cassius Marcellus Clay, a brash young boxer who hit the nation by storm. And Ferdy, what was your first reaction when you laid eyes on Cassius Clay?
First of all, he had the best body I've ever seen on a fighter, physique. He was as fast as I've ever seen a fighter. He was as crazy and fun-loving and dynamic and charismatic as I've ever seen in a fighter. And what all of that evolved into was a figure bigger than just a champion. He evolved into the first in athletics that was a true international celebrity.
That fame began in 1964 when Clay challenged the seemingly invincible heavyweight champion Sonny Liston. After a strong first 4 rounds, suddenly there was a crisis in the challenger's corner. Clay appeared to have difficulty with his eyes. Angelo Dundee attempted to solve the problem, but Clay was blinded as the bell sounded for round 5.
Something wrong with Clay now. Something wrong with Clay.
The bell sounds for the 5th round correction, and he is having trouble with his eyes. One of his trainers yelled there's something in Liston's gloves. Clay is blinking, said he can't see. Here's Liston crouching, hitting to the body, and Clay keeps blinking like he doesn't see Liston, and that will be fatal. Here's Liston throwing a left to the head, gets Clay against the ropes, pounds left and right to Clay's body, and it's Liston all the way now, left and right to Clay's body. Clay tries to fend him off and still blinks like he can't see. Left to the top of the head by Liston, and Clay looks all done as he backs away. Liston gets him against the ropes. It's all Sonny Liston, the champion now. Against the challenger is Clay, backing away almost half-heartedly from Liston. Liston's eyes both chopped up, but he's leading the damage and throwing the damage now. It's Clay blinking, backing away. Liston's left blocked by his gloves. Liston has Clay in Liston's corner, misses a right chop, and side-wheeling out of there is Clay, but Clay hitting the nose with a hard left hand. Liston gets him in the corner and pounds hard to the body. Clay's been hurt now. Clay trying to fend him off into the rope, side-wheeling away, but Liston stalks and throws a right to the chin. Liston is close to finishing it now. He has Clay with a left to the body and a left and a right, and it's Clay only half-heartedly side-wheeling away with his gloves open in front of him. Liston paws with the left. Liston, awkward, but still throwing the dynamite. Liston stalks and takes with the left, feints with his head. Feints again as side-wheeling Clay gets out of the way from that one, moving along the rope. As he did earlier, but not as fast. Clay comes back with 2 left jabs. Clay pulling away, seems to see okay now, but he catches the left top of the head. Liston with another left and a right to the chin, thrown by Clay. And by Liston, a left, hard left cross to the chin by Liston. It's Liston with a left and a right. Liston throwing the bombs, left to the head, Liston. Liston misses the left. Clay still taunt him, holding him at range with a left hand, then ducks. But Liston straightened him up with a short right shot to the chin. Liston missed the left, but Clay leans over the top rope and forces Liston to miss again. Halfway through round number 5, neither man down. Liston, light left, and Clay gets hit with a left to the nose in Liston's corner, wrestles Liston down, and Liston's left eye is closing again. Although it's Liston doing all the swinging now. Clay holds him at bay with a left hand, like a wrestler, making Liston look under his glove to try and find an opening. And now Liston is taunted by Clay's left, which he keeps pushing into his nose and blinding Liston so he can't see for the moment. He keeps that left hand open and just taps away 3, 4, 5 times. Here's Liston with a right to the body. Clay backing away and then throws a left hook. And Liston is tied up in Liston's corner by Clay. Clay walking away, almost defying Liston to hit him. And Liston trying his level best to do just that. Liston feints to the left. Dawson throws a hard left to the cheek of Cassius Clay, and they almost talk to each other for the moment. Clay looking at him as if to say, there, that's your best punch. I took it, didn't I? All right, here's Liston now in slow motion. Both men seemingly tired. Clay ducks, keeps his hands down with a right hand pawed up over his nose, and that's what Liston can't see over half the time. Here it is again, the left in the face of Liston. Not punch, just laying on his nose. The bell, the end of round 5.
Much like Tunney versus Dempsey, Clay had survived trouble and went on to win the title via a 7th round TKO.
Angelo, there was blinking on his part. What that really meant was he was blind. He couldn't really see. Tell us what happened. When he came back to the corner, he was blinking. What happened?
Well, he actually said, cut my gloves off. I want to prove to the world there's dirty work afoot. I said, wait a minute, baby. It's for a world title. Sit down. I sat him down. I did check his eyes. There was something caustic in his eyes. What created it, I don't know. They put some liniment on his shoulder. Maybe my kid got his head on his shoulder, and it went into both eyes. What I did, I sat him down, I got the sponge, washed his eyes out, threw the sponge away, got a towel, cleaned his eyes out, threw the towel away.
Did you ever think that there might have been some, as he put it, dirty work involved?
Nah, I don't think so. I mean, he was frustrated because he went blind. I mean, how would you feel you go blind? The biggest fight of your life. You're fighting for a world title, you can't see.
And you're fighting a killer.
You're fighting a guy who's a destroyer. The thing was, when he came back, we got him up because I noticed the referee coming towards my corner. That's why I stood him up. That's why you look at the scene, we're all standing, you know, like a procession. But I had gotten him up, and the referee went back to his corner and didn't bother us because the kid was shaking his head. And the only instruction I gave him that round was run. And he did run. And thank God Sonny Liston followed him, ring around and Rosie, and never cut him off.
What could he have done to catch Ali, who was on his bicycle?
Step over and cut him off. If he had known that part of fighting, there are many people that fight a long time that do not know these small things, basic things, such as how to cut off a guy, how to close a guy in, how to force the guy into a corner.
Archie, you made a good point there, and I'd like to comment on it. I think the reason that Liston didn't know these things, that all of his fights have practically all went 1 or 2 rounds.
Right, true.
If he, like Marciano, went the distance once in a while, he might have learned something.
Right. I think that Liston's education in boxing was premature. It was short at its best because he had been up in an institution for a long time. Not a long time, but for a time, a good while. And that's where he started boxing. And when he came out, he was such a hitter, he only had a few fights. Right. And his experience was limited.
It is 1965. Cassius Clay is now officially Muhammad Ali, and he is the champion. Sonny Liston is the challenger.
Here we go. You'll note that Cassius wants to stay out in the center of the ring where he happens to be the king. Liston in the dark trunks is chasing that man straight away. Is that a mistake? Beautiful right-hand shot that you saw. That was the best punch thus far landed by the champion. We note that early, halfway through this first round, that Sonny is shooting mostly, although he's going to the head now, mostly toward that body. You know the old story, you kill the body and the head might follow. Knockdown, ladies and gentlemen, a right-hand shot. A right-hand
Confusion reigned in the ring as referee Jersey Joe Walcott left the fighters to confirm that Liston had indeed been counted out. The two resumed boxing, only to be stopped as Walcott intervened to affirm the bizarre result. Ali had retained his title.
Angelo, to this day, have you yet seen the punch?
Oh, yeah. I saw the punch. It was a perfect shot. It was a shot that you don't see to get you out of there. It was a slide right, drop it over the top. Got him out of there, hit him on the temple.
Archie, do you believe that it was a real punch?
Yes, it was a real punch. It was a punch that was hit him in the temple. And in this part of your head, there are nerves. The doctor can tell you that there are nerves in this part of your skull. And you're very susceptible to being knocked out.
Well, now, Don, he went down, no question about it. What happened then was completely confusing according to the long count that we just saw, because technically the count should never have started. Explain to me what you thought happened with Jersey Joe Walcott, inability to control Ali.
Well, first of all, let me congratulate Angie on his sense of humor. If that was a punch, I'll eat it.
Why? I wouldn't want you to eat it.
Here was a guy who was in prison, and the guards used to beat him over the head with clubs and couldn't knock him down. Ali goes like that. He goes down, gets halfway up, and then falls again. Come on.
Liston didn't see the punch. His face was facing the doggone canvas. He got hit with a shot he didn't see.
I can understand if somebody hit him like that and he didn't see it.
Forget about it. It was a slide right, drop the right hand shot.
I'm trying to forget about it.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, no. Well, you know, we called it Stephen Fetching called the anchor punch.
Yeah, it was the flicker.
And you're not a prevaricator or a fabricator of the anchor punch.
All right, we haven't heard from you. Did you see the punch? Was it so fast that it wasn't recorded by the cameras, as Ali said?
Well, now, I'm of this man's opinion somewhat. The punch didn't seem to be worth a knockout.
He's a heavyweight.
That's number one. Number two is when he went down, when Liston went down, Ali was clowning over him, and the count shouldn't have been started. Then Walcott walked over to the referee to pick up the count, and by that time, Liston was up, and they were fighting. And you know, I'd forgotten all about that until I seen this rerun. Liston was up fighting again.
I forgot it too.
And the referee stepped between them, and it seemed to me that Liston was a clear head, you know.
All right, one last vote. The smell of this fight continues. Was it a fix, or was it a real fight? Archie.
I can't say it was a fixed fight because, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't know a fixed fight if I saw one. And matter of fact, I wouldn't call that a fixed fight. I would call that a victory for Ali.
Ali. Angela.
Muhammad won. There was a winner. There was a loser. Muhammad was the better fighter.
I'm of mixed emotions.
I have no comment.
Okay, this may go on a little bit longer as we continue to search for the Phantom Punch, although Angelo saw it several times. Back with the Rumble in the Jungle after this. As the 70s begin, Muhammad Ali is back in the role of the underdog as he goes up against the champion, George Foreman.
The Rumble in the Jungle was expected to be another in a series of awesome knockout performances by Foreman. But Ali had stayed out of harm's way through 7 rounds by introducing a tactic which would soon be known as the rope-a-dope.
Ali working to the head of George Foreman. Ali scores again with a light left hand. That time a straight left bounces the head back of Foreman. A quick short jab with the right hand bounces the head around of Foreman. Foreman looking to deliver the real heavy blows. Now he's bouncing better. Almost falls out of the ring. Ali left that punch, twisted his body to the side, and the left hand went kind of over the shoulder. Ali bends him over. Zach Clayton right on the spot, the referee, chairman of the Pennsylvania State Boxing Commission. Ali, it seems to be, well, kind of going the way he wants. He's not dancing as much as we thought, but he seems able to control him. Now, it's a pretty good heavy right hand taken on the left side of the cheek by Ali. Good right hand thrown by Foreman that time.
Again, for Foreman, it seems to be one or two, maybe three good punches. That punch taken on the glove, that one slips by the left ear, tries to go with that right uppercut that felled Kenny Norton. The left hand again thrown out by Foreman. Both fighters now very much more fatigued than they were a round or so ago. The heat is pretty high here, around 80 degrees. The humidity is probably 85 to 90. At age 32, Muhammad Ali is bouncing around pretty good for the 24-year-old Foreman, hanging pretty tough in there. Again, I caution you to look for the one punch that George Foreman can deliver at any time. This man is devastating, to say the least. These punches are not at this particular time. Try to pull a sneaky right hand on Ali. Ali hanging on, getting away with it. Getting away with it. The left hand taken on the side of Ali's cheek. The left hook again on the side of the glove. Right hand by Foreman was not effective. The right uppercut did bounce the head a little bit. Punches will not hurt Ali. Ali just takes him, protecting his face at all times, does Ali. Foreman throwing more punches now. Maybe this could be the tactic of Ali to let the man punch himself out. 30 seconds left in round 8. Very even fight. Ali, a sneaky right hand. Another sneaky right hand. This time he works over the shoulder of Foreman. It's a combination.
Angelo, in this bout, we saw the rope-a-dope for the first time utilized by Muhammad Ali. And you were not aware that he was going to do this. Were you concerned at any time?
Well, no, that's another mark of a great fighter, to innovate something during the fight. You can switch gears, do things that work against your opponent. I didn't like the idea. I thought he was a dope by laying on the rope. I didn't think it was good at all.
Georgie, when a guy gets hit that much to the sides, and as Ali did, does it discourage the other fighter? It doesn't seem to take his legs, as we have seen with Foreman and all of the Frazier fights. He was pummeled to the sides, yet it never took his legs away from him.
Well, he was just an exceptionally strong man, but somewhere down the line later, he started, it told on him, you know, when he would go to the bathroom, the blood would flow.
Archie, is there anything that Foreman could have done differently to combat a very effective method of Ali, and that would be the holding behind the head?
Yes, he could have done several things. There's no man can hold me in the back of the head in a fight, because all you have to do is knock his arm up, knock his arm up. That's right. Pop, and knock his arm up.
Why didn't Foreman do that?
Foreman sometimes is hard to talk to, you know. And sometimes when a fella has his own way of fighting, and he's been in that way a long time, it's very hard, very difficult for him to trust you, trust your pattern, your beliefs.
All right, gentlemen, we move on to the 80s, an era of magnificent middleweights.
1981 featured a classic battle between a finesse boxer, Sugar Ray Leonard, and the power-punching Thomas Hitman Hearns. Trailing in the 14th round of their welterweight title fight, Leonard was forced to adopt his opponent's style.
Put him away. He is fierce. He is tough.
Hearns opening up on Leonard now. Leonard throwing his punches in desperation.
Warned not to leave his hand sticking out there. Hearns' reflexes very badly slowed.
Well, he's still fast enough to stay away.
Yeah, but he throws a punch and he stays there.
2 minutes left in the round. Round 14. Leonard coming on again.
There was that right hand.
Oh! That nailed him.
And now he doesn't have enough time. Now it's minute 44. Time is running out on Tommy Hearns.
He's got to grab him. Leonard gives him no rest. Hearns is in real trouble.
Hearns got a punch. Hearns has got to give him some respect.
Oh, grab hold of him, which he's not doing.
No, he's too weak. He has nothing left. He's going to be knocked out.
And the referee is stopping the fight. The referee is stopping the fight. I don't believe this.
I don't believe that either.
Oh, no.
I don't believe that. It was too great a fight for it to be stopped, but Leonard was...
Hearns was way ahead on points.
Angelo, it was your work in the corner prior to that 14th round that helped turn this fight. You told Sugar Ray it was slipping away.
Well, thank you for that. But it's Ray did it. I didn't. All I did was try to make him aware that he was slowing down his pace. Had to pick it up because you know you're not a scorecard keeper when you work in the corner. You're a biased bum. You can't help yourself because everything your fighter does is beautiful. Everything the other guy does is zero. So I just want him to pick up his tempo, pick up his pace, because that's what wins fights. If you fight the other guy's tempo, you're going to blow the fight.
Watching it again just now, did you think they stopped that fight a little early? Did you think that he hadn't gone down, Hearns hadn't gone down? Did you think that was stopped a little early?
I was surprised the championship fight. Hearns was still on his feet. He had gone down the previous round, but he had not gone down or even been staggered in this round that I could remember. He was taking punishment, but he's a professional boxer. I was surprised when it was stopped.
It seems to me that there comes a time in one round where that line is drawn, and one guy says, I want that, and the other guy doesn't. It seems to me in that round, you saw that line and you saw Sugar Ray say, this is my round, this is my championship, and he went and took it, and the other guy retreated from it, didn't challenge it.
Well, I felt that since Hearns was going along so smoothly and winning these rounds, picking up round after round, that he needed not change. All he had to do was keep doing what he was doing. Don't change. But, however, someone had told Ray Leonard something, and then I saw this left hook almost embalm him, and then that changed the whole tenure of the fight.
Well, we have come to one last round to show you on the greatest fights ever, and that is Tyson and Douglas as we head to the 90s.
When Mike Tyson took on James Buster Douglas 4 months ago in Tokyo, the champion's aura was as intimidating as Foreman's or Liston's in their prime. Tyson seemed on the verge of his 38th straight professional victory when he put the challenger down in round 8. But Douglas was able to continue after what would later be called another long count. And Tyson's title was suddenly in jeopardy as the fight moved on to the 10th round.
Oh, what a right hand by Tyson to begin the 10th round. Emphasis on man, Larry. This has been an inspired, courageous performance by a man whose mother has died within the past month, whose son's mother is battling a difficult kidney ailment, who had every reason to come into this bout depressed and downtrodden, chosen by no one to have a chance of getting out of the first few rounds, and he has thoroughly dominated Mike Tyson with the exception of the moment when he went down.
Well, the other day, John Johnson's Douglas' manager, and Douglas himself said, I am a new person now, and apparently he is.
He's been a whole different person than the one every boxing expert expected to see here.
It appears that Tyson is virtually a one-eyed fighter at this point.
A desperate one-eyed fighter. Brawling willingly just to try to get in the shot that will finish things in
the uppercut.
What an uppercut by Douglas, and down goes Tyson.
It's over.
It's over.
Mike Tyson has been knocked out.
Unbelievable.
Is there anyone here who can honestly say they saw it coming?
I always felt the stature of a big man, good left hand, a lot of strength, lock him up in close, could lick Tyson.
Did you think it would be Douglas, though? Did you see this?
Everything I said, the adjectives I used pertain to Douglas. Big guy, mobile, strong.
Archie, have you ever seen a fighter who inside didn't look like he wanted to win? I don't mean a guy sits down and says, I want to lose tonight. I mean a guy's not fighting like he's usually fighting. And you see, it's not him that night. You know, have you ever seen that happen to a champion almost give away his championship?
No, what you're speaking about regarding Tyson and Douglas, it wasn't that way, but apparently as the fight progressed, then it became increasingly viewable that this was happening. What we was not expecting to happen, because this man was using a left jab as if though he was a welterweight. Very hard and stiff and often. And as the rounds grew on and on, then you could see where it was going to be a futile effort if Tyson didn't really get the clicking.
Isn't defeat as important as victory? How you recover from defeat? All the champions you've seen, when you come back from a defeat, isn't that the mark of a champion?
Well, Lewis was knocked out by Schmeling, and then he knocked Schmeling out in one round, and he came back from that. But I can't go with hindsight, you know. I thought somebody was going to beat Tyson sooner or later, the way he was going, but I didn't think it would be Douglas, in all honesty.
George, earlier in the show, we saw long counts involving Dempsey and Tunney and Liston and Ali. What effect did the long count have on the Douglas-Tyson bout?
Even talking about that fight, it's kind of putting me on a limb, because you know I've got Holyfield. I'm the trainer of Evander Holyfield.
That's why I ask you the question.
So I don't want to say the wrong thing, because, you know, I don't want it to interfere with us in our fight. But I'll tell you this, he went down, and the referee counted to 10. And when a man counts to 10, the fight's over. And that's what happened. What can I say?
I think it was much ado about nothing. Controversy, nothing. The best man won the fight. Douglas stopped Tyson. That was it. I don't think the long count had any play there. Talk about long count. Dempsey, Tunney, forget about it. That was an atrocity. That was 40 count.
Tyson's count was to 14 by the clock when he went down.
Give or take a pound. Well, what's the difference? He was knocked out and he got counted out.
Marv, I think it's been forgotten already, that long count. Nobody talks about it anymore. Douglas is the champion.
We thank you all for joining us. And before parting, Angelo, would you demonstrate to us where it was that punch from Cassius Clay hit Sonny Liston?
My guy slid over and
that was it. Thank you so much for joining us on the greatest fights of all time. So long, everybody.